Thanks for joining me. In this clip we're going to take a look at intervention as part of a Tuckman process. It's something that leaders feel that they should do quite naturally, but how much, when and why is really important. So we're going to take a look at that and what that sort of intervention might look like at each particular stage. I suppose as I step back from it, my question to people would be, what do you want the outcome of your intervention to be? And that should inform what it is we do, when we do it, who we talk to, and the amount of support we give them at any particular time. Thank you. Let's have a look, shall we? As I look at what's required in the forming stage when interventions occur, now take the bull by the horns. It's a very strong image, isn't it? I think what we're talking about here is a degree of candour, a direct approach that's built around some very clear outputs, and this can almost articulate themselves as demands of prerequisites of what we want from our team and our team members. I see this very much as a shaping stage, and we have to remember that, again, looking back through the other clips, what else is going on, the state that people within our teams are in at the forming stage. So they will be looking to leadership to lead. So very much it's this sort of idea of you need to put yourself out there and need to establish a framework, some criteria that begins to define who we are, what's our purpose, and how we're going to go about delivering that purpose. At the storming stage, and again, think of the general context, what's going on here, the clues in the word. There's likely to be disagreements, uncertainties, some falling outs, issues around role, who's doing what, and at this point with our interventions it feels to me that clarity is paramount. We need to be very clear about the outputs, what it is we're here for, but we're also trying to establish a culture in which it's okay to offer critique, but it's not okay to have negative criticism. So we're looking at resolving conflicts by giving a general message that we understand that conflicts are going to exist here, but how we understand them and how we understand our approach to resolving conflict is absolutely critical for the emotional well-being of the team as it moves forwards. Also, at this particular stage, I think there is a necessity for leadership to discuss about how we control messages. What are the conversations that we will have in team? What are the conversations that we will have amongst those close to us who have a good understanding of where we are at any particular time? And what are the conversations we have with a more general audience? What are the differences between those conversations and why they exist? Are we confident about them? You can feel, can't you, as we're doing that, we're moving towards a norming stage. We're actually generating some thought processes here that begin to give us a bit of a framework, that begin to give a process model of how we move things forward. And leadership at that point should be engaged in developing those processes. Those processes I see very much as a stabilizer that allow us to rehearse not only what we do, but also who we are, and to rehearse and to better understand our relationships each with the other. The best stage perhaps of intervention is almost non-intervention, it's intervention by coaching, when the leadership role becomes one where we are asking our teams to understand themselves better, to understand the goals we are aiming for in a more transparent way, in a more doable and achievable way. And our job as leaders then becomes to resource their resourcefulness. And of course it has to take place within an agreed framework, and we have to be pretty clear about where messages are given, what the message is, the journey of that message. However, what we're doing here is we are moving the team to understanding itself better as a team rather than a collection of individuals, and that notion of moving towards common purpose, which we are seeking to maybe expand in a synergous ethically valid and values-led manner becomes a far more interesting prospect for those in a leadership role. So it's something we just have to accept that at the times of change and uncertainty, our leadership role, our interventions are going to have to be more direct. And people are going to want this, they're going to expect it. And let's think about it again. We can't move through to the norming and performing stages unless we go through these areas where our role as leaders is likely to be far more interventionist than we might want it to be. And also an interesting question we need to pose to ourselves is how and when do we choose to let go? Well, thanks very much indeed. Our next clips are going to take a look at the sorts of intervention that we make. I hope you enjoy them, and thanks for joining us again. Bye now.